Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome to show 947 of Astrology, Ancient Science in the Modern World. You can catch this show on the internet at skymirrorastrology.com. We're going to cover the week from January 23rd through February 1st. And you're at the end of a very nasty month when the full moon on January 4th, was it? Set off the Pluto-Uranus square big time right next to the nodes. I'm sure you've had your share of disasters, and there may be more to come yet. I got my eye on New York and stuff going on in the president's chart, and I'll fill you in a little bit later. For now, let's take a look at the sky mirror and check out the next 10 days for you. I drew up a chart for you. I hurt my back here pretty bad about 2 weeks ago. Not up to my normal standards. This Mercury should be very large because it just stopped in the sky at 17 Aquarius. Yeah, and went retrograde just 2 days. Yesterday, Wednesday, if you're on the Thursday show. So I should have drawn this very large, and I'm going to get back to that. But here's the Uranus-Pluto square happening at 14 degrees. 13 degrees. That's where the full moon was, at 14 degrees of Cancer, opposing Pluto. Eek, a policeman. And boy, is it all over New York City. Well, let's take a look at it day by day. Let's look and see how we're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern, and as it makes angles and connections to these various actors on the stage, these planets, generates the mood of the times. If you're on a Thursday show, Thursday morning, you get a little shot of religion, art, music. It's kind of nice. The moon is going by Neptune, huh? Yeah, not bad. Venus will be up there at the end of your next week and join Neptune. And boy, the spiritual, artistic side is going to be beautiful. And love could be taken to great heights about then, too. Yeah. Venus likes Neptune. In fact, it's said that Neptune, an enlightenment planet they call the higher heart, because it brings out you take ordinary lusty love for sugar and sweets and orgasm and take it up one step. You get Neptune, the love of stained glass windows, the love of the Father, and religious ecstasy kind of stuff. So Venus hitting Neptune can be quite delightful. Don't recommend alcohol, however. No, that'll you don't want to dull this. This could be a very pleasurable kind of stuff towards the end of your next week. Venus is going to move up here and hit Mars. Yeah, around the 20th, 21st of February. And that'll be an interesting thing. Benjamin Franklin said, when Mars and Venus in conjunction lie, young maids, whate'er is asked of you, deny. Because Venus then gets kind of harsh, overly physical. Well, it's a busy Thursday because in the morning you tend to get the Venus stuff, and in the evening you tend to get the Mars stuff. The moon's going by Mars. Sextile Pluto late Thursday night. And so it's a very macho Thursday night if you're watching the show right now. Moon's in Pisces. Friday, the moon's still in Pisces. Doesn't make any significant aspects, angles to things. So you're still feeling kind of heroic. The moon goes into Aries on Saturday, January 24th. And the vibes are gonna change. First of all, it seems very mellow and nice because there's a nice sextile to the sun Saturday morning and a trine to Mars. And the sun is in sextile to Mars, by the way. So this is a time when you're feeling like you got yourself organized, everything's right with the world. I paid my taxes, I got something left over. Guys in blue suits and black suits with ties are okay. So, feels kind of organized. Feels like you got it together the first part of your week. The latter part of the week, the sun gets up to 13 Aquarius, sextiles Uranus. And you'll feel good about the unions and the brotherhoods and the new age stuff and the equality and how necessary it all is to take care of the homeless. But what happens on Saturday is it starts with that nice, I'm organized kind of feeling. And as you go through Saturday, you get towards the end of your day, Saturday, and there's the South Node. And that just sucks up the mothering. Oh, I need mothering. I need help. Eek. Stay up too late. Around midnight or so, you're going to feel like that. And it could be having to do with the stormy conditions around you, because there are some here early Sunday morning and through the middle of the day, the moon's going by Uranus at 13 and squaring Pluto at 14. And there's the full moon at 14. So this is another day of lunacy. This is another day of the wind blowing things around. Unreasonable fears. Eek, a bug. Panicky feelings. You know. Electronics not working. Power outages. Feeling of aloneness. This is one of those times. There's a little brief respite here. About the middle of Sunday, there's a trine to Jupiter, and maybe some good news will come along and get you out of the jitters, because you're going to have the jitters Saturday night, Sunday morning. Uranus likes to make things shaky. So maybe if you listen to the wise people there Sunday in the middle of the day, you might get a little respite from that. There's a nice sextile to Venus Sunday night, late, early Monday morning, stay in bed late. Monday, moon shifts into Taurus, a very sexy sign. Fixed Earth, ruled by Venus. And so Monday morning is a lazy, sexy morning. And it kind of continues with a nice sextile to Neptune in the afternoon here. More higher pleasures, colors, art, music. Yeah, it can be quite nice. Monday night late, here about 11, 12 o'clock, we have a square to the sun. Moon squares the sun. I can't get nothing done. But you'll be re-energized if you stay up late. This is 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday the 27th. And there's a sextile to Mars. Let's go fix something. Yeah, feels pretty good, too, all the way through Tuesday morning. There's a trine to Pluto, before you get to lunch. And then there's something going on here, because Mercury and Jupiter are opposing each other. And you're going to feel it here on Tuesday in the afternoon. The square to Jupiter are doing too much. Square to Mercury can't communicate and get around. So it's kind of frustrating trying to communicate and move around and overdoing it every time on Tuesday as the moon is in Taurus. It's still in Taurus on Wednesday morning. But I wouldn't bother with the pleasures too much, because here in the middle of the day the moon squares Venus and can't get no satisfaction. The moon shifts into Gemini. Vibes change on the 28th, Wednesday. In the evening, late, here's the opposition to Mars and the square to Neptune. Now that's another square entirely. It's a good one to make note of. It's a little bit like the Uranus-Pluto square, because this is a major guy here, Saturn, squaring another major player, Neptune. And, Neptune and Saturn both move slowly. This is going to hang out for a while. You may not like the Neptune people, priests, artists, doctors, musicians, movie stars, glittery types, seem to be afflicted with Saturn. They're turning into Scrooge. Now, to keep your eye on them. You'll see what comes down here on Wednesday night. Thursday morning, the moon's still in Gemini. You're probably going to announce, all the goodies we thought up. Look out. If it's the result of late Wednesday night, it could be fraught with lies and deceptions, greed. Thursday morning, though, we're feeling pretty good about stuff. We got our projects, and we're going to communicate and get things done. In the middle of Thursday, here's a sextile to Uranus. The computer's whizzing right along. The internet works fine. The brothers are all smiling at each other. It's kind of nice. There is a square to Mars here. That happens after dinner time, and people are a little ticked off and impatient and angry. It doesn't last too long. After a couple of hours of that feeling, Jupiter kicks in about midnight. The sextile to Jupiter, we're laughing and having fun again. Moon in Gemini. I like Gemini. Friday, moon's still in Gemini till you get to past dinner time, then it shifts into Cancer. And once it goes into Cancer, well, you're in the jittery zone again. Here you are where the full moon was. This is the return to the 14-degree Cancer full moon that started that horrible month you've been living through. Here's the end of it. And you got to watch these. When the moon had a full moon here, went all the way around the zodiac and came back down to 14 Cancer, it kind of accumulated all the lunacy and packs it all into a final wallop Saturday night, January 31st. And you're kind of walking right into it, because here's the Neptune-Venus conjunction. Oh, sweet. Let's all drink some wine, a loaf of bread, and thou, my sweet. Feels like that Saturday morning. But by Saturday night, damn, the power went out. The car battery's dead. We feel all alone. The emotions are all exaggerated. There's bugs. We get panicky feelings and bad vibes against the policeman again. Well, this is no time to be a policeman. Leave your gun at home, Mr. Policeman. You won't get in any trouble Saturday night, the 31st. There are some heroes out there. Maybe this is sports. You know, the trine to Mars, Sunday morning, February 1st. But, you know, it seems to be something you can enjoy on the moon in Cancer through Sunday. Anyway, that's the way it is. The end of the horrible month of January 2015. This has been on my mind a lot lately. I'm going to pass it along. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, respected doctor for CNN. What did he say? We have been terribly and systematically misled for nearly 70 years, talking about pot, in the United States. And I apologize for my own role in that. Wow. What is he saying? He's saying there's been a conspiracy, systematically, terribly and systematically misled. Systematically. I can vouch for that. While you're watching this, I'm probably up in Colorado trying to have a birthday in the midst of these crappy planets. Upshot is, this is a real conspiracy. And, you know, it's been in front of your nose all this time. Everybody just, you know, it's kind of like, you know, Germany. Hitler was elected after all. Mr. Bush was elected. All these people are elected, and they're systematically misleading us. What's going on? Well, it isn't just about pot, as dreadful as that whole matter was, you know, especially against the brightest, most enlightened people of our society, Woodstock generation, and those born in the late 60s. Geez, you know, this has been a terrible thing. We've been the Jews and the cripples and the astrologers of Germany. Put them in the camps. Hitler put all the astrologers into the camps. You know, they all died there. Anyway, we've been terribly and systematically misled. You know, and who did this? And is anybody going to answer for this? And how about all the people in jail? And how about the people whose livelihoods were taken away because now they have records? There's a guy on the internet I saw on Yahoo who's been in jail. He's in jail, full life sentence, no parole. First conviction for one pot offense. I mean, this got crazy. You think it was crazy that Germans persecuted Jews and cripples and gypsies and Polish intellectuals? No. That wasn't as crazy as this. This is crazy. There's more crazy going on. Oh, it's easy to label it crazy, but you know, I'm thinking the very people who've always talked to me about conspiracy, the more right-wing people, it's those they're right. There is conspiracies going on, but it isn't to cover up the UFOs, and it isn't over the tracks in the sky. You know what it is? It's about stuff like keeping the oil companies going. Now, if you're on the Big Island, I got to tell you, you've got a newspaper, two newspapers, a newspaper in Hilo, same way. Both of these newspapers are owned by right-wing fanatics who are part of conspiracies. And that it just galls me, you know, and I see this guy, you know, and I'm pretty smart. I can read this jerk-off's writing here, you know. He uses a lot of big words, and he tries to quote all these experts, and he's always doing the same thing. Here he's putting down California and saying, it's Houston, it's Texas, that's where all... Now, but what got me was this. Check this out. This is in... Now, a lot of people don't read this stuff. They just read headlines. Even climate change experts and activists are in denial about climate change. My God, could that be true? Then you look and you follow this up. Where is it? 7A says here, climate. There's no guarantee emissions will be reduced significantly. And gee, you believe that indeed there's all these experts aren't in agreement. There's a lot of people that say no, global warming is a farce. There's people like the Koch brothers here. Geez. But the truth is, this article, if you read it kind of carefully, it's kind of an innocent thing and just says a lot of the people who are experts in this area have been intimidated a bit. But the headlines, I'm sure that the guys who write the headlines are this newspaper, and they have intentionally misled you, just like the pot thing. Intentionally, terribly and systematically misled. Never have so few people done so little to kill so many. Well, there's lots of other conspiracies, and they're usually attached to institutions. They get institutionalized. But, you know, this is very sad. The only two newspapers on the Big Island of Hawaii, and what we've got is this kind of conspiracy. And believe me, it is a conspiracy. I watched these newspaper guys drive Kauai Landing out of business by putting together a phony environmental newspaper and taking a lot of their advertising and then feeding us this stuff. I mean, these are bad people. Bad people. Great news here, West Hawaii today. Turns out you get the real news on the internet. Police kill over 1,100 people a year in the USA. In Japan, 0 people are killed by police. In Great Britain, 0 people. Nobody's killed by police in those two countries. And here the police kill 1,100. Huh. Oh, but we're free, aren't we? Terribly and systematically misled about marijuana for 70 years. You know, I'm beginning to wonder, all the people that come out to try to fix things like the banking system or the drug war or any of these things, from Kennedy to John Lennon, get assassinated. And you know, we never find who's doing all this. Maybe this isn't just terribly systematically misleading. Maybe there's even more dreadful problems from some of these evil folks in our country. Calm down, Frost, calm down. After a month of that nasty full moon, I can see conspiracies everywhere. Everybody's out to make a buck. Policing is a profitable enterprise in our country. We have more people in jail than any other country in the world. A lot more. So what's going on here? Is it a conspiracy? Is it an accident of faulty institutions? I'm not sure. You know, right now I'm in the clutches of that paranoid Uranus-Pluto square, and you know, I see conspiracies everywhere, unspoken conspiracies too. Yes, the police won't testify against each other. You know, doctors never say a bad word about another doctor. A priest will never say a bad word about another priest. Yeah. People under color is what I was taught in my old law class. When they're under color and they're given special privileges by society, they should be held to a higher level of responsibility. That's what I learned anyway. And all these people are under color. Is still trying to put an incinerator in. By the way, if you want to see my incinerator special, it's on YouTube. It's called Burn Trash, a Public Health Disaster. Okay, Burn Trash, a Public Health Disaster, and you can see it on YouTube. Okay, let me give you some evidence of why I'm a little nervous. Here's President Obama's chart. Yeah, now a couple days ago, on Wednesday, we had Mercury station, and Mercury went direct, January 21st, and Mercury went direct right on President Obama's rising sign. So if you watched him yesterday and probably even today, this Mercury here, he's going to talk. He's going to write, he's going to talk, and probably the things he says may not be well received by, over here is Jupiter opposing him. Who's that? The rich guys, the bankers, the privileged people, lawyers are not going to like what he says. Interesting. Now, it's going to go retrograde, and then it's going to come back here again. So whatever he's talking about or thinking about doing, and maybe some kind of presidential thing, not sure if he'll come out with it right yet. He's got opposition, but he's got time to think it over, and he's going to have to come back on March 3rd, roughly, and defend his words or his writing. Now, there's been some, can we call them conspiracies, about astrology in this country. And here's a biggie. I got the chart of the U.S. government, July 5th, 2:01 a.m. in Philadelphia. I got this by rectifying, doing a lot of work on it, and used 9/11 in particular. And when you look for the chart, turns out it's got Gemini rising at 4 degrees Gemini, 56 minutes. Now I also used New Orleans, New York. New Orleans has Pluto going through it. New York has Uranus going through it. San Francisco has Neptune going through it. And Las Vegas has Venus going through it. And I adjusted this just a little bit as a matter of 2 minutes from what I got at the 9/11 thing to get this magic number. And once you know that, it allows you to do some interesting things. And what's come up is, well, I haven't figured this out yet, but Neptune, in the middle of November, yeah, about 2 months ago for you, stopped at 447 Pisces. And our rising sign at essentially 5 Gemini, so that's a square. Neptune stopped at the top of the chart in the public arena and said, hey, let's make some scandal, some bad smells, chemical things. And something in the public life of the U.S. government got scandalized. Don't know what it was, haven't figured it out yet. Now, just using 9/11, I had this up to 5:02 or 5:03. Wasn't very far off, just 6 minutes off or so. But I think this is a really good, to go after the astrocartography, 456. Now here's the kicker. Here's the ephemeris. Where's Saturn? There he is. And on March 14th, he's slowing down a stop at 4 degrees 55 minutes, 0.8. Can we round that off to 4:56? Saturn's stopping and going retrograde. Good heavens. At 4:56. That's exactly what I calculated it to be. Now, you know, this is the 14th. It could be on Friday the 13th. Easy for you to remember. Friday the 13th of March, 2015. The U.S. starts its trial. Yeah, there's going to be a difficulty in this country. And, you know, I haven't had the time nor the energy. I spent most of my day trying to find a place my back didn't hurt. So I haven't solved the problem of what's going to happen and where, except we know that New York City is a very big part of it. Yeah, the January 4th full moon all goes through this New York area, and that looks kind of tough. Okay, here's the new moon, January 20th in New York. Very strange here. It's got Mr. Obama's rising sign. So Jupiter is opposing, and Mercury is rising in New York. And up at the top of the chart is Saturn, almost 3 degrees. Okay, here's another odd thing. Here's Mr. Obama's moon. He's got the moon in the 4th house, 3 degrees, 21 minutes of Gemini. And so he's a homebody. And he works at home, too, a lot. But what 3 degrees Gemini, 21, that means Saturn is going to oppose his rising sign. 321, that's the 28th, 29th of January. Saturn opposes his moon. He's going to get depressed. He's going to have trouble with his health and his employees. Yes, and it's going to come back there after it stations at 321. The last few days in April 2015. And it doesn't really go away until it goes by the 3rd time and opposes his moon the last week in October 2015. So if he takes a hit somehow to his health, well, he's good for a long recuperation, isn't he? Or maybe one of his servants. Here's a vice president's chart. Not sure about the time, 8:30 a.m. His rising sign's at 3:11 Sag. Saturn's going to oppose him and be on his Uranus. He could have trouble walking and getting around. Sorry, Joe. Over finance and legalities and stuff. And this, if the sun is the father of the country, look out.
Hey, tell him what second place gets him, Vernon. Cystic nine. You're human, kid. Lost one? Seems like that's all we ever do these days. Makes you wonder if it's even worth being around people anymore. Is it family?